A quick sound check. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. A quick sound check. I hope I'm coming across. Great. So we are back with the Monday session, which because of a holiday yesterday, we are holding it today on the Tuesday. So we will start with our weekly review of what happened last week, and then we'll proceed to see what we can expect in the current week, which is a holiday shortened 4-day week. So we have the Bank Nifty weekly settlement tomorrow and Nifty in another day's time. So it is interestingly poised. So let us start with what we did last week. We have this weekly report which is published on the website every weekend, which has an brief write up about what happened in the previous week along with the market profile charts, which you can go through. And then we have this closing analysis of what the weekly profile was and what we can expect in the coming week. So just to start before what happened in the previous week, if we take the week prior to that, which was the exit poll gap up on Monday and then the election results on Tuesday, which was a huge 2000 plus point range in the Nifty spot. So having such a big range and an elongated profile, in market profile we know that an imbalance leads to a balance and a balance leads to an imbalance. So after the 2000 point range and also the closure of the event, which was anticipated and because of which the VIX was rising. So once the event was done, there was an expected fall in the VIX, and we were expecting the market to get back into a balance mode. So which is why the expectation for the previous week was not too big in terms of the range, and we had marked some references which we were looking at as support. So I'll just quickly come on to the profile chart. You have the weekly profile chart on your left. This is a Nifty spot. And on the right side, what I have done is I've just split the weekly profile chart. I've unmerged the daily profiles. So we can see what happened on each day of last week. So we had a session last Monday evening where we had formed this profile and we had spoken about this AP rate selling tail at new all-time highs. And we had spoken how if this is not taken out, we can expect the Nifty to get back into this big range, the weekly range. We had spoken about this 23,200 being a support. So break of this HVN, we were expecting Nifty to fill in this zone till 22,800 and a touch of this weekly POC of 22745. So this is what we had discussed on Monday evening at the 5 p.m. session. So what happened on Tuesday last week was we opened lower, because this was a close in an imbalance. The M period made new lows into the close last Monday. So we were expecting that imbalance could continue more so because we had an initiative selling tail at all-time highs. So we did open below this lows, but what we did was we took support right at our reference of 23,200. The low we made on Tuesday was 23,206. And what we did was we left a period buying tail. So this A period buying tail negated this selling tail. So while we were looking at downside because of this selling tail, the buying tail, that too at an important reference, told us that the demand is also coming back at this zone. So this became our reference. So unless we would have broken this, we were looking for a balanced week going forward. And that is what we did. All days in Nifty, we had dual auction. If I just split the chart, you can see how on Tuesday we went higher till the J period. In the JTPO, we got into this selling tail and got rejected. And we saw a good liquidation move happening into the close where we went on to test this A period buying tail. And then again on Wednesday, we opened higher, left an A period buying tail, and we even went above this Monday's highs. But then again, we were not able to sustain and then saw a liquidation move in the close. So the M periods on all 3 days of the first 3 days of the week made lower lows. So then on Thursday, which was the expiry day, we saw the gamma zero being a 23,400, and that is where the entire day's auction was concentrated. So I'll just increase this TPO side so that we can have a better look at the profile. So once we opened higher with the gap up, that did not sustain, and we went on to leave this initiative selling tail. But what we did was we did not break below this value of previous day. And then because we had almost similar values on Monday and Tuesday, we could have made a composite of those 2 days. So the composite helps us to get one important reference, which is the POC, because we are looking at the spot chart, which doesn't have volumes, so we can only have the POC. So this 23332 became our important reference in Nifty spot. So I'll come to that in a bit, and how it took support on Friday and what relevance it has on the higher time frame, the monthly time frame. Also, I will show it to you. So what it did was on Wednesday, we went on to climb above these highs of Monday, and then we got rejected again, came back lower to close around the IBL of this day. Then on Thursday, we opened higher, which was the settlement day, but the gamma zero was very strong at 22,400, and we saw huge open interest building up on both the call side and the put side. So I think from a open of 168, the 23,400 combo, the straddle came down to close at 1.1, I think, was the closing price, because 223,399 was our spot closing price on Thursday. So what we did on Thursday was we formed a narrow range B-shaped profile. So B-shaped profile means a long liquidation profile context wise. But here what we were doing was value wise we had formed another inside bar, and if we are looking at the higher time frame, the weekly time frame, we were above the previous week's value, and more importantly we were above this immediate support which we had marked for the week, which was at 23200. So which is why it was interestingly poised on Friday, and we had this selling tail as our reference, and we were looking for a break of this prominent POC of 23332 for more downside. But what happened on Friday was we opened higher and we got sold into, we swiped through this profile of Thursday, and we even went on to break below these lows. But you can see the lows we made was right at this prominent POC. So this is how we can find how the prominent POC is holding. Even if you take the profile of Thursday, where at the close it looked as if this POC was broken, but a closing move is considered to be a spike. And why is it a spike? Because the market, the time is over for the market to authenticate how good that break is. So we had to wait for the next day to see if the auction is able to sustain below this POC, because major of the move came in the closing last of the L and the M TPO. So next day we opened higher and we never broke this. And on Friday we took support right at this prominent POC. So here once we took support here, the B period completely reversed the move of the A. So this was again indicating that we are getting demand at this zone. So what we did, we could not do make a big range extension on Friday, but we formed a narrow P-shaped profile. It was similar to what we did on Thursday, but Thursday it was a P shape, it was a B shape, where we had a selling tail and then we found value lower. And on Friday it was the opposite, where you can consider this to be a buying tail, not exactly a buying tail, but the move came in the IB. So the IB rejected this value and we closed above this value, and we started to form we acceptance in this A period selling tail. So this was a bullish sign, because once we first part was we are taking support at this 23200, then the second part was this prominent POC of 23332, and then we have now got about these 2 days value and formed higher value. So we can in fact combine these 2 days profile also, because the value was completely inside the previous value. So you can see this POC was a 23393, and I have always maintained market profile gives us repeated references at the important levels. So you can see what we did was, when we were falling in the A period, we left a pullback. Half back of that A period was right at this POC, and then when we reversed to the upside, the halfback of B was also right at that 23393 level. So this 23393 remains an important support for us for this week. And it was mentioned even in the weekly report in the hypos which were given out for today. We had that 23393 as our second level on the downside. So what we did on Friday was, we formed a P-shaped profile. We made an attempt to spike higher in the L period, where we made new all-time highs of 23490, but we were not able to sustain, and we came back to that magnet POC of 23447. So this is what we did last week. If you see the daily chart, and what was the view for this week? So because we had formed higher value and we closed above the value of the previous week, the PLR, the path of least resistance, was to the upside. So we were looking at more upside to continue from in this week. So if you see the weekly report, I've also mentioned we have had a failed auction on the weekly time frame at this 23 23206 level. Why it is a failed auction? Because what we did was, we made lower lows on Tuesday. We went below the lows of Monday, which is, and we got rejected, and we went on to break above the highs of Monday. So the failed auction which we follow on a daily time frame is also something which we can follow on the higher time frame. So even if it is sounding complicated, the easy part is, we got rejected from that new lows on of the week, and we took support at that 23200. So our objective for this week is this 23827. So this is one objective which we are looking that the Nifty can go for, but it will not be in a straight line, or it will not be a blind trade. We will have to monitor this on a daily basis. So I'll just shift to what has happened today. I'll just close this chart and show the weekly. So what we have done today is, we opened higher. So that was a bullish start for Nifty, and we were expecting more upside. But what we did was, we have not made any range extension. We have been in a very narrow range of just 99, not even 99 points. 99 points was the futures range. The spot range is just 80 points. 23579 was the high of the IB, and 23499 was the low of the A period. So we remained inside the IB range, the initial balance range, all day, and we have formed a normal profile with a prominent POC at this 23538 level. So this will be our reference for tomorrow, and related to what we do at this level, we can look for more upside for in the coming days. Or if we come down lower, this buying tail of today, which is from 23510, I think, would be our support zone. 23510 would be our support till this closing level of 23472. So 23510, 23472 will be our references on the downside in the coming days. And if I just switch it to the daily profile charts, we can see the levels even more clearly. So we have this buying tail of today, which will be the support. And then we have this closing tail of Friday, which is 23472. And then we have this VPOC of 23447. This is now a virgin POC because it has not been tagged today. And what we did interestingly on Friday was, we made a new swing low on the daily chart. So if I just make it back to a dual mode and open the monthly chart for you, you will see why that reference of 23332 is important now, and it will remain important for the whole of June month. So this is the monthly chart on your right side, and this pink band is our POC, and you can see how the POC is right at that point where we took support on Friday. So if I split this chart, you will be able to see the J lows are right at that POC point. So POC is what we take as an important reference on the spot charts, be it the daily, be it the weekly, be it the monthly. So if we are above the POC of a weekly, we are bullish. So similarly, the developing POC of June is right here. So as long as we stay above this, we will be bullish for this month. So this is how we will take this forward, and in spot on the upside, we will have to form value above today's profile. So if we stay above this POC and form value higher, that will be a sign that we are headed for more upside. But today being a balance, tomorrow we can get a range expansion. So range expansion means after the IB is done, preferably we'll have to have an A period buying tail, and then look on to make range extensions after the initial balance and the C side is over, which we did not do today. So that will give us more confirmation that we are headed towards that 23827 level. So that is how we are placed in Nifty spot. So I'll just take a small break to take any questions on what we have covered so far before we move on to the Bank Nifty spot chart. So Shiva has a question about how does the weekly FA form. So I was explaining that you don't need to go with the technical aspect of the failed auction, but it is as simple as we have got a rejection at an important reference. So the 23,200 was already one reference which we were looking for last week. And because it was a previous week's HVN zone, we had lot of TPOs which were aligned there. So once we took support there, and the weekly initial balance, I take it as the first 5 hours of the week, so which is from 9:15 to 2:15. So after that, if there is any move away out of that weekly balance and move again inside it, so that is how I take the weekly FA. So that is anyways not big this thing. We were still looking at the 23,200 as our support, and once that support was validated, because we have made a swing low right there also. So in Nifty, if you see the daily chart, we have got two swing lows in the previous week. So if I just unmerge this chart, we can see this 23206 is one swing, a daily swing low, and then we have this 23334, which was the low on Friday, which is now a fresh swing low on the daily chart. So we will have these two as our references going forward. And as I already explained, this is also the monthly POC of June. So this will remain an important level going for the rest of not just this week, but also the coming weeks of June. So Nagraj has a question about gamma zero. So gamma zero is a topic which we can, I think it will need a separate session for that. But gamma zero is derived from our spectrum charts, where we see where the inventory is placed and at what level the option writers think that the auction may close. So simply put, that is the case about gamma zero, but we have a lot of videos on the YouTube channel where Shai has spoken about spectrum and gamma zero. So you can go through that, Nagraj. You will definitely get more information on this. So Dinesh has a question: if 23800 was level where heavy selling came in, these are new levels in spot, Dinesh. We have not tagged these levels ever. We are in new uncharted territory. So these levels are based on what auction is doing currently. So we will have to take it on a daily basis. That is 23827 is the objective for this week, but we will have to get confirmation every day, because we will have to form higher value. We will have to leave, just like how we have left this VPOC at 23447. Preferably tomorrow we will not tag, or we will get rejected. We will leave a buying tail at this POC of today, and then make range extensions to the upside. So we will have to take it day by day and TPO by TPO for that 23827. So in case we are getting any dip, we will have to see where the dip is taking support. So as I mentioned, today's buying tail would be one reference 23510, and then we have this 23472 and the POC of 23447. So in case we are trending higher, then we will have to stay above this POC and this value area high tomorrow and confirm range extensions on the upside. So that is how we are placed for Nifty spot. So let us see what the Bank Nifty is looking like, and more importantly, we have the weekly settlement of Bank Nifty tomorrow. So this is the all important index we currently looks for. So you can see on the left side we have the weekly profile, and it is formed a beautiful Gaussian curve. A Gaussian curve is an ideal bell curve based on which the market profile concept has been driven, because you can see how we have formed a nice value area on the weekly time frame. So this is also not a surprise because we had a 5055 point range in the week prior to that. So this third to seventh weekly profile, if I just zoom it, you can see it's an elongated one with a 5000 point range. So what we were doing last week was we remained above this weekly POC. So definitely we were looking for more upside. But then again, because we have already formed a big imbalance, there was a good chance that we have some kind of a balance forming back in the auction. So if you see on your right, you have the daily profiles, which are the weekly profile, which is unmerged, and we have the daily profiles. So the five profiles, you can see how all five profiles have got value and POC overlapping. So this is very clearly indicating that this option is in a range and it is forming a balance, which is why Shai was mentioning last week it was the option sellers who ruled, and prior to that it was the big moves where the option buyers could make money because we got huge moves in both directions, and because the VIX was also so high, we got big moves. So that was not a market for option sellers because of the higher VIX and also the big range. Whereas last week was an ideal scenario where the option writers thrived. But and we had a narrow range of I think only 700 odd points in Bank Nifty. So from a 5000 point dropping down to a 700 point range itself shows that the range is contracted, and not just contracted, but it has formed overlapping value on all 5 days. So we started with the selling tail on Monday because we got rejected on the test of this selling zone of 4th of June, where we fell as soon as the results started pouring in at open at 9:15, and it was getting clear that the majority is not being made. So this was once it tested that single zone, it formed an A period selling tail and it formed a nice balance for the day. So here it was very important to note that it was not able to make any range extension lower, because if it was dominated, it was dominated by sellers, we would have got range extensions on the downside. So this was just a balance where we did not find demand at the upper zone and we did not find any sellers in the lower zone. So what happened on Tuesday, just like Nifty, we made a look down below this, but we got a buying tail. We got an A period buying tail and we formed overlapping value. So then again, you can see it made an attempt to probe higher on Wednesday, but we got the dreaded seaside extension, which we always view and which Bank Nifty has always been accustomed to. So that seaside marked the highs of the day, and then we went on to get back into this value. So what we were doing was we were forming a composite balance. So even if I combine the 3-day balance, you can see how we were already forming a nice Gaussian curve on the higher time frame. So again on 13, the higher open got rejected and we got back into this value. and again once again we formed overlapping value and POC. So what this tells us is the auction is in a balance mode, so it is range bound, so we just need to make use of responsive activity and mark the range of the composite as well as the value. So anything around the composite high or the value area high, we look for a retracement move to the POC and the value area low. So again on Friday, what we did was we at the open we made a move above this value. It looked as if it is wanting to move away from the composite. But again the B period came back into the value, and you can see we have this 80% rule setup which is there in market profile, where when a market enters a prior well balanced value area zone, there is an 80% chances it is go on to tag the other end. So here when we entered back into this value area low, which was at 49775, there was a good chance that we will go on to tag this value area high of 50,013, which it did in the B period itself. But then again, as it happened in as happened in the previous session, we made that dreaded seaside extension, and it again marked the highs of the day, and we closed as a P-shaped profile. So Bank Nifty was not a very bullish close. If you look at the, because the value was overlapping, the Nifty made higher value on the last day. We saw that on the daily chart, where the P-shaped profile had formed value higher than the Thursday's B-shaped profile. So but here in Bank Nifty it was not that case. We had formed overlapping value. So it was actually we closed in a balance, and even the weekly close was more near to the prominent POC of the week. It was not above the value area high, which we saw in Nifty. So Nifty definitely was more bullish close wise on the weekly chart than the Bank Nifty. But the good thing about Bank Nifty was it had made a balance, and it was looking good for a move away from this balance. So that is what we were expecting today. We were expecting a move away from this balance. So what happened? And let us see what happened. And you can see how, although we opened higher and probe lower, got back into this value area, how we got rejected right from this POC of 49947. So why do we say we got rejected? Because we have left this A period tail. So once we left this A period tail, we knew that the Bank Nifty is headed higher because it has rejected the entry into this previous week's value with this A period tail. And then once we form the IB, this A halfback of 50,047 was our reference, along with this value area high of 50,028. So unless we would not breaking these two levels, we were looking for more upside, but we needed range extension to the higher above the initial balance. So the seaside made a low, but the low stopped right above this pullback, halfback. So it was very clear that once we made that range extension in the D, we are looking for uh, upside. Even in the Bank Nifty, if you see the weekly report, we have mentioned that we have a well balanced Gaussian curve of just 723 points, and value has been mentioned has a good chance of a move away from here in the coming week, with the upside objective being the responsive selling tail from 50990 to 51133. So this is the selling tail we have on the weekly profile from the week of the 3rd to 7th June. So that will be our objective in Bank Nifty for this week. So but this objective will be in play only as long as we are staying above this value. And on the downside, if we break below the value, we have 49615 as our first support, and a break of this can get us to this 49325 and 49047 levels. So this is what our analysis for the Bank Nifty spot was before the market opened today. But post today's auction, we know now that it is signaled a move away from this value. So now, in fact, what we have formed today is not an ideal trend day, but it is very close to a trend day, where we have made higher highs on most of the TPOs, and we also spiked higher into the close. Also, although the futures did not make new highs into the close, and the premium was in minus in the futures, but the spot did make new highs. So the spike rules will be in play, and this MTPO lows of 50 424 would be our first reference for tomorrow on the downside. So we will have to stay above this. Above the spike highs would be definitely bullish. The spike high today was 5562 and the spike low is around 5424. So this would be a no trade zone tomorrow. Above the spike highs would be bullish, and below the spike we will have to see where the bank nifty can take support. This POC would be one important reference, 5311, and then the halfback of today, which is at 5231. So we will need to hold these two references in case the bank nifty has to remain bullish for tomorrow's expiry. A break of these two levels will turn the auction into neutral mode, and then one if for any reason we break below this C period lows and get back into this value, the entire auction now we can look to go on the downside. In fact, we can look for 80% rule in this weekly value to play out if we break back into this value again for tomorrow. So this is how we are placed in bank nifty spot. So if there are any questions about this spot, you can please raise them. Else we'll just have a quick look on the futures chart before we can wind up for the day. So because this weekly profile from 3rd to 7th June has got lot of references which need to be tagged. So the bank nifty will slowly have to form value higher on the daily time frame and take these references out. And the ultimate objective would be this M period responsive selling tail which we have for on the weekly profile, just like the one we have today. So in case we open below this, this also will become a responsive selling tail for us on the daily time frame. So in case there are no queries, then I will move on to the futures chart so that we can have a quick look at what the futures chart is looking like. So let us stick with the bank nifty futures because we have the weekly settlement tomorrow. So just like how we saw in Nifty futures, you can see how the bank nifty futures has also formed a nice balanced profile. So in the futures chart, we have spoken how we can make use of the KRLs, which is the anchored VWAPs from important references. So whether it is a swing low, whether it's a trend day, whether it's a day from where the auction is moved away from one important zone, we can mark the anchored VWAPs on those days, and till the time those anchored VWAPs are respected, we can consider the buyers or sellers from that particular day to be in control of the auction. So what we did, the 7th of June was a trend day. So we had a anchored VWAP from the 7th of June. And you can see this VWAP of that day was 49732. So we have repeatedly taken support right at this point. In case if I just unmerge this profile, you can see how we were getting responsive and initiative buying tails whenever we are breaking this zone. In fact, on the 11th of June, we had the POC right at that level, and that POC is not been tagged. And you can see how on 12th we made a low of 49,750. Then again on Friday we made similar lows right at the same level of 49,750. So this is telling us that 49,727 was being defended last week by the buyers. So this was the lower support for last week. But coming to this week, what we can do now is we can form this 5-day composite, because today we have moved away from this composite. So what will be the references for tomorrow's expiry in the futures chart? So a similar kind of a move here, you can see in the futures chart how the C side of today took support right at the halfback of A. Although we made an entry into this composite value, which meant that there was a chance that the 80% rule could play out, but this happened in the C, and we do not trust the moves which happen in C, because the C side is known to give a fake move, whether it is on the upside or whether it is on the downside. So that is what it did today. It first made a move lower, took support just above this halfback of A and then went on to make new highs. After which we remained above VWAP mostly all day and we made range extensions to the upside. Although in Bank Nifty futures we could not make new highs into the close, which we did in spot, and we saw the POC shifting higher to 5414, we have formed value away from this composite. So the PLR, the path of least resistance, is definitely on the upside, and this is start of a imbalance what we have done today. So today's and Friday, just like in Nifty, we have left a swing low also, so we can have a fresh anchored VWAP from Friday's low, which will be our reference, and then today's VWAP of 50,288 will be the all important level which we will need to hold tomorrow for the weekly settlement to be bullish. On the upside, we will have to venture into this selling tail of fourth and the profile of third. So we have this HVN of 50,600, and then we have those selling levels which we have got from the order flow charts, which have been given in the report. The daily report has the references of future levels, which will be updated again for tomorrow's expiry. So you can make a note of that and see how we are playing out tomorrow. So this VWAP will need to hold tomorrow, and if we are opening above this POC and forming higher value, we will have to see first the opening volumes of tomorrow, the open type if it is a strong one, and we are leaving an A period buying tail just like we did today, we get more confirmation that we are looking at a bullish expiry. So then we will have to then look out for the initial balance to play out, and then look for higher highs after the D period, after the C side is done. So that is how we have placed in the Bank Nifty futures. We have lot of references which we have to tag in this profile. The Nifty has taken a pause today because it is at all-time highs and it is waiting for the Bank Nifty to catch up, it looks like. So once the Bank Nifty is again in syncing with the Nifty, both can again begin to move together. So, and this POC of 51095 will be one big objective which we are looking for in Bank Nifty futures going forward for this week. If we are getting a good expansion and volumes tomorrow, we can even look for the target for tomorrow's expiry. So, but we will have to take it TPO by TPO tomorrow and then see how we play out the settlement. And at the same point of time, we will have to keep a check on the inventory which is building up, which we do using the spectrum charts, and we follow the gamma zero and also the range which the spectrum is showing with the open interest of the put and the call side options. So if we are bullish, we will definitely see the put open interest rising all day and the call open interest falling, and we will also see the spectrum range moving upside along with the gamma zero. So that is how we will take the weekly settlement tomorrow and take it first the open type and then the range extensions, however they come up. So if there are any other queries, I will take them before we can wind up for the day and come prepared tomorrow for the exciting looking Bank Nifty settlement, because it has started a imbalance today, which has a good chance of continuing tomorrow. How to draw an anchored KRL is the question. We have covered this in many sessions. There is a video also, but as a quick move, I'll just draw it and show. I'll have to delete one of the KRLs because we are allowed to have only 3 KRLs. So I'll just unmerge this, and because this is a new swing low, the 14th of June, you need to right click on the profile. You have this option called custom KRL. You need to click on that. You will get this option. You can click on anchored VWAP and you can put in the description as what you want. Swing low is what I'm putting, and I'll have the styling line as dash line dash green one. So this is how you add an anchored VWAP, and you can see how this anchored VWAP has come out, and the anchored VWAP reference for today is 50159. So this will be one reference support level because from this swing low, if we are continuing to move higher, this VWAP will have to hold and will have to show us buyers. So this is how we draw the KRL. So if there are any more queries, you can feel free to ask them before I think we can wind up for the day. Fine, guys. Then I think that's it for today. And as I mentioned, we are looking good for a nice weekly settlement in Bank Nifty tomorrow, but we will have to make sure that uh, we take it TPO by TPO. And I've already given you the references for tomorrow. The POC would be the immediate reference in futures, and the VWAP will be the important support level. In case we get a dip down to VWAP and we get some good responsive buying, this will be an ideal place to go long for a good move into the uh, weekly expiry. And at the same time, do keep a eye on the spot charts and the levels which we give in the weekly report. The hypos for tomorrow will get updated, so also have those levels, especially on the settlement day, because the settlement is happening based on the spot levels. And plus we have a premium difference. The futures is quoting at a lesser price than the spot, so it makes extra sense to have a spot chart also open for tomorrow's expiry. Nagraj has a query about taking detailed class on line charts. We have a session. Have taken a session on line charts. In fact, I myself have taken it, and you can find that recording on YouTube. So definitely we will have it again in case and take some live example for that. But that definitely the line chart has been explained in one of the sessions before. So you can just go to the YouTube channel and have a look. You will definitely find them. Custom KRL is an option which is available to the premium plus subscribers. So you will have to have that subscription in your vTrender charts. But it is a very important feature, and I would definitely suggest you need to have that in the charts. So thank you guys for joining in. That's it from our side for now. We love to hear from you. So keep sending us your feedback. You can mail us at support@vtrender.com. And in case you have any query, I'll be happy to answer. You can DM me on Twitter. My Twitter ID is at Uttam Goel. Sorry, X ID is at Uttam Goel. So thank you all and signing off for today.